Okay. In the last class where we left out, so we were discussing something about the data rate matching, that too with respect to time division multiplexing. So why data rate management or matching comes into picture? Because whenever you are having the highest data rate that you need to traverse in one channel, and remaining all will be having the lowest rate. What should be what how we can just overcome that? Because at a max last at the end of the particular multiplexing, you need to combine all the signals, right? So one signal will be having the highest bit rate and the remaining all with the lowest ones, or with a different one month, and it will be a difficult task to multiplex it. So just to overcome that, what we'll be doing is we'll be just accessing each one of it in multiples of each other. That's what we are just planned it. So for that, they have given three different levels. One is multi-level, another one is multi-slot, another one is pulse stuff. Pulse stuff. So all these things are used just to make sure that all the channel will be having the equal data rate. That's it. In multiples of one particular data rate, you can just try to get the multiplexed channel. That's what they are just wanted to say. So with this, we'll just see quickly. We'll just move on to this particular slides because we have seen this all these things in the last class itself. First one is multi-level. What happens in the multi-level is, with respect to multi-level, you will be having the lowest bit rate when compared to the remaining channel bit rate. If you want to overcome this, what you will be doing is you will be just adding one multiplexer with respect to the first two channels that you are having. So for example, here 20 kbps and 20 kbps is there. Remaining all three channels are 40 kbps. How many channels are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 channels are there. If you want to combine these particular first two, then you will be getting one more particular channel. So one channel is more than enough to address all these particular two 20 kbps channels. So that's why what I'll do is I'll use multi-level multiplexing here. So this is nothing but you are just using one more particular multiplexer to combine two channel data rate and get one particular data rate, which is again the multiples of remaining channel data rate. So that's what the aim is. Second one is multi-slot. In the multi-slot, what happens is you'll be having one particular channel with the highest bit rate, and the remaining channels will be having the, compared to the previous one, it will be a lowest one. Now we will be just if we particular whichever having the highest bit rate, if we just divide this, if we just using demultiplexer, if we divide this particular input channel into two or three, then can we express in multiples of all these remaining channels? Because remember one thing, the remaining channels should be having the equal bandwidth, equal bit rate. If the bit rate is equal, then you can express in terms of multiples. So just because of it, what we'll be just taking is in multi-slot. That's what the meaning, the name says, multi-slot. So two or three slots you can just have it. So 50 kbps can be expressed in 25 kbps, which will be nothing but if you combine all these particular channels bit rate, then you'll be getting the, in terms of multiples, you can just express it. So that's the main intention of this data rate matching. Yeah, next one is pearl stuffing. Pearl stuffing is nothing but you cannot split that particular channel into two, or you cannot combine the channel into one. So you cannot do anything. That is, multiple is also not possible, multi also not possible. In that particular case, what we'll be doing is we'll be using pearl stuffing. Pearl stuffing is nothing but, stuff is nothing but adding. You're adding some bits to that particular channel. See here, 50 kbps and 50 kbps, two channels are there. The other one is 46 kbps. Can we add some particular pulses? Or the simple example is pulses is nothing but here bits. If you add one particular bit, one signal element will come into picture. So keeping that in our head, one signal element for one particular data bit that you are transmitting. If I add 4 bits to it, can I combine? Can I express all these particular three channels in terms of 50 kbps? Yes, it's possible. So that's why I'll add 4 bits to it. How to apply it? How to get that? Using the pearl stuffing. Pearl stuffing is adding the bits, random bits. It's not that one should be added or zero should be added. In combination of it, or all one should be added, all zeros can be added, anything. 4 bits you need to add it, that's it. If you add 4 bits, then it will be having the answer as 50 kbps will be coming into picture. So that's what it says. So if you combine this, you can express in terms of multiples of one particular data rate. So that is the ultimate aim of this data rate mismatch. Data rate mismatch means there will be a different data rates with respect to different channels. Can you combine and can you express in terms of one particular data bit rate, so that whatever the multiplex channel is there, so multiplex signal will be having the multiples of one particular data rate. Can you express it? That's what the meaning is. So with respect to that, three different terminologies has been addressed. Just quickly move on to the next slide. Next slide says synchronization. So all these particular steps, whatever we have just studied with respect to TDM, is a synchronization itself. Once again, synchronization is it necessary? Synchronization was available with respect to your input channel to the transmission medium. That is, from the multiplexer to the multiplexed channel or signal, you will be just getting it. Now, what happens? How that particular while receiving, how that particular channel will be knowing this is actually the bit that I need to have it. Suppose interleaving is not available. Interleaving, if you are having it, then there is no problem. One particular data, first data, it will be just going with that. So it will be with respect to the time, it will be just moving to that particular slot, and it will be just working as if you can imagine a regulator. So 4 with respect to that particular the fan regulator that you'll be using it. 4 is a speed. Then with respect to that 4 speed, it will be just the fan will be rotating in that particular speed. Or if you just change it to 5, then it will be increasing the speed. So that's how it will be working, right? The same thing works with respect to interleaving. So suppose interleaving is also not available, then what is the thing that I need to have it? So for that, what they have given us, you attach and one more bit to the entire frame and send it to the other end. Frame is, suppose 4 channels are there. If you have one bit at a time, you can just transmit from one channel. Means all those combination will be nothing but your one frame. So I'm talking about that particular frame. With respect to that, if you can add one bit extra along with this particular frame, then that becomes your synchronization pattern. So it is easy for a receiver to understand this is the first particular frame that I need to have it. And then second, followed by third, followed by fourth. This is for your frame synchronization. Bit synchronization happens with respect to your interleaving. Whereas frame synchronization, if you want to have it, means with respect to that particular frame, you need to attach one more bit, extra bit to be attached to for that particular reason. So your, as you can see, with respect to the example given here, frame 1 contains A1 bit, B1 is absent, that is no bit is no answer has been given with respect to the B, whereas C1 has given some particular thing. So that's why A1, C1, B is left as empty itself. We'll think about this, how to overcome this empty slots later. Don't worry about it. Right now, I have a channel where A1 is A is one particular channel, B is another channel, C is another channel. In that three different bits, I'm just transmitting it. First time in each of it 3 bits. So A1, B1, C1. Unfortunately, B1 is not present, so I'll just leave it as empty. A1, C1 along with the empty particular bit, I'm just transmitting it. So before transmission, I'll just add one more bit. This is what you call as synchronization. Second frame, it will be containing 0. So 1, 0, 1, 0. Like that, the sequence will be going on. So this is nothing but your synchronization with respect to your frames, not with respect to the bits. Okay. So one simple example has been given here. So just a small question. What they have is 4 sources. We have 4 sources, each creating 250 8-bit characters. Each creating 250 8-bit characters per second. If the interleaved unit is a character, that is whatever the time that you are just moving it from one particular device to another. So from A, one character, A is produced, B produced, C is produced. So like that, one character will be produced. So and 1 bit synchronization is added to each frame. So one bit is added to each frame. Now we need to find the data rate of each source. First thing is we need to find the data rate of each source. Second question, the duration of each character in each source. That is, 4 sources are there, right? So in each particular source, what is the duration of each character? I need to find it. After that, the frame rate, the frame that you are transmitting. The next one is duration of each frame, how much particular time taken that it is taking care. So that one I need to calculate. After that, it is not left out. So you have 2 more questions. The number of bits in each frame. How many bits that it can travel in each frame? That is what they have asked. Along with this, the data rate of the link. So one by one, we'll just assume it. We'll just try to find it out. First question, what it says, I'll try to annotate because yeah, I'm answering question A now. What it says, 4 particular sources are there, each creating 258-bit characters per second. So 258-bit characters per second if it is transmitting means what is the data rate? The data rate is each particular source will be producing 250 characters. Sorry, 250 bits per second. But 250 bits per second, if you are having it, then 258 bit per second, that's what they have given. So that's why it should be 250 multiplied by 8. So it will be around why it is 250 multiplied by 8 because 4 sources are there. Each source will be having 258-bit characters per second. So what is the data rate of each source that has been given? What is the data rate of the input source that has been given means then 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, 2 into 4, that is 8 kbps will be the answer. So this is for each source. If I just try to one in the diagrammatical manner, if I just want to represent this 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 channels are there. Now this is multiplexed. Into a single band. This is what it is. So with respect to this, each one is carrying what is the thing that has been given. So here 250 each source, right? Yeah, characters each creating 258. So 250 into 8 will be the bit rate for each channel. So like that, for the whole input channel, if you are carrying means the whole data rate will be 2 into 4, that is 8 kbps. So unfortunately, they have asked it for only each source. So with respect to that, A answer is 2 kbps with respect to the data rate for each source. Next, the duration of each character in each source. Duration of the each source that has been given. So 250 characters per second is the source that is sending the value. So with respect to that, if you are talking about that, so with respect to this, so B value, the answer for B is 1 divided by 250. So it will be something like 4 milliseconds. Duration of each character in each source. So one bit, if you are just taking it, means each one will be having 250. So 250, 1 over 250 is nothing but 4 milliseconds. That is what the answer is. Next one, see, the frame rate. What is the frame rate for this? Frame rate, how to calculate it? How many frames per second you can transmit it? That's nothing but your frame rate. So they have only given that from each particular source, it will be sending 250 frames per second. So 250 characters per second, if it is transmitting means it will be nothing but 250 . one character will be available to transmit from each source, right? So that's what they have given. So with respect to that, the answer is 250 frames per second. So the next one is duration of the frame. Duration of the frame is also 1 over the frames per second. So 1 divided by 250. It is also equal to 4 milliseconds itself. Duration of the frame. Next one is each frame carries now with respect to 4 different sources, each frame should be having how many bits? 4 characters or 4 particular bits will be available. 4 bits in the sense 4 characters will be available. 4 characters in the sense one from each particular source. Here 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what the 4 is meaning. So with respect to that characters, each character will be of 8-bit length. So multiplied by 8 if you want to address in terms of bits, plus one synchronization bit you are addressing it, you are sending it. So this 4 into 8 is nothing but actual data that you are transmitting. The one bit that you are adding it is nothing but here for synchronization. That's what they have given. For synchronization you need to add it. So just because of it, what will be the total number? 33 bits will be the answer. The data rate of the link that has been given. So data rate of the link is nothing but 2 into 2 into 2, that is 2 into 4 is 8 kbps will be the data rate of the link. That's what that has been given as 2 kbps with respect to each one. 2 multiplied by 4. That will be nothing but 8 kbps will be the answer. That's all with respect to this particular problem. You understood this? So why you might be asking why this particular 250 frames per second? Because they have given that one character from each particular bit. So one character means 8-bit. So 8-bit one character 250 like characters you need to just transmit it. So true 250 frames per second it will be just having the answer for it. Understanding it? So we'll just quickly move on to the next particular problem. One more problem is that let's try to solve that. Yeah. Two channels, one with a bit rate of 100 kbps and another with a bit rate of 200 kbps. We'll just try to annotate this first, because if we don't understand and if you don't put it in a diagrammatical representation, we will not be getting anything. So two channels, that is what they have given it, one channel and the second channel. Okay, so what they have given us, it should be multiplexed. This is what the thing is. One with 100 kbps, another one is 200 kbps, that should be multiplexed. So here, if I assume that this frame is having the bit rate as 100 kbps, and the second one is having the bit rate as 200 kbps. Fine. So that's what they have given. So how this can be achieved? That's what, after multiplexing, how it can be achieved. That's what they have given it. What is a frame rate? If you want to transmit it, what is a frame rate? What is the frame duration? What is the bit rate of the link? So 3 questions has been asked from this. So now looking into this, it looks like the problem with respect to your data rate matching, right? Data rate matching, because so can you just look into this particular 200 kbps? It's very much higher when compared to 100 kbps. Can you express this particular 200 in terms of 100 kbps so that I can express this particular multiplex channel in terms of multiples of your 100 kbps? That's the first particular thing. Yes, if you split this particular one channel into two channels, that is multi-slot. We need to just look into it. So what I'll do is I'll just try to annotate. I'll just write it in the different one. So one with respect to 100 kbps. Another one is 200. Just okay. So this one now will be cutted into two more channels. So totally three input channels will be there, not two. This is what I'll just make it. Rest of it, I'll not tell anything. So I'll give you 2 minutes time. Just try to get the answer for this. It is similar to your previous problem. If you have understood that, you can just answer this one also. What will be the frame rate? Three bits will be there in one frame. Agree? Because three is the input channel, so each one of it will be transmitting one bit means so three bits will be there. So each bit will be carrying how many kbps? 100 kbps. So frame rate will be nothing but total is 100 kbps. Yeah. What will be the bit duration? Sorry, frame duration has been given. Yeah, frame duration. Sorry, not 100 kbps. It is 100 kilo frames per second. It's not bit. Frame duration. You may transmit uh, two or three bits each frame. What is the duration that it will be taking? That's what they are just asking it. It's a inverse of your frame. Just calculate it. Next, what is a bit rate? bit rate, 3 channels are there, 3 bits it will be transmitting. Each one will be having the value as 100 kilobits per second. So it will be 300 kilobits per second. So this will be the answer. Got it? Any doubt? So first you need to represent this. Without this particular representation, this diagrammatical representation, you will not come to know how this particular thing will be achieved. So first you need to just think of whether the problem has been given with respect to FDM or TDM. Here with respect to the concept we are moving, so it's easy for us to identify whether it is in the TDM or FDM. See, keep one thing in your head, if the hertz, in terms of hertz, if it is given means, then go with FDM. Okay, so if they specifically ask you to solve it in TDM, even if they have given the frequency as in terms of hertz, then you need to convert it in terms of kilobits per second or bits per second. You need to convert it, because whenever it's a digital, it should be addressed with respect to TDM. Whenever it is an analog, go with the FDM or WDM. So WDM is not available according to your syllabus. You rule that it is ruled out. Wavelength division multiplexing is not available. Frequency division multiplexing, then it should be analog signal. So if it is a digital signal, then go with the time division multiplexing. Understanding it? With respect to the input signal I'm talking about. Keep that in your head. So that's it with respect to this particular synchronization time division multiplexing. I'll just move on to this particular one more. So this looks similar to your analog hierarchy, what we have seen it with respect to FDM. So with respect to FDM, we took an example of your telephone directory or telephone system. With respect to that, we have just mixed and merged it into several type of different terminologies. If you have 12 voice channels, if we merge it, then it becomes group. If we have such a type of 5 groups, then it will be merged means, then it will be a super group. So if you have 10 such super groups and if you merge it means, then it will be a jumbo group. Then if you have 5 such particular jumbo groups, if you merge it means, then it will be giving you to the master group. This is how the division has been taken care. In the similar similar manner, they have just given it for your digital hierarchy. So here 24 digital signals has been merged, and each signal will be having 64 kbps as the bit rate. So now with respect to this, if you have combined with respect to time division multiplexing, then you'll be getting one more particular signals. So each of it will be having 1.544 megabits per second. How? Multiplied by 24 into 64 will be giving you the answer for it. So in the similar fashion it goes. So that's all with respect to this particular hierarchy. So with respect to your DS, that is digital signal, and the T lines rate. So T lines is nothing but one particular signal will be coming with respect to each one of it. So how many particular T lines that we will be having with respect to it? What is the rate that you are having? How many voice channels? It really depends on this particular hierarchy. Same hierarchy has been put in the table. Right now we will not concentrate on that. So how this particular T line works, that's what we'll be just seeing it in this particular example. So this diagram will be showing 24 voice channels. So 24 analog signals is coming. So what your TDM is, it will be addressing with respect to your digital signal. So how to convert this? For that, we have one particular analog to digital conversion. We have seen it with respect to your module 2. What is this? It is nothing but your PCM, pulse code modulation. So that one will just try to address it. Okay? Understood? So we'll just apply this particular pulse code modulation. In that particular pulse code modulation, we have several sampling rates, right? So with respect to the sampling rate only, it will be working. So we'll be just taking care about that particular sampling rate. Sampling rate at 8,000 samples per second. 8,000 samples per second, I need to just using 8 bits per sample. With for 8 bits, one particular sample will be taken. After 8 bits, one more sample, like the time we just taking it. If you can imagine the ideal one, or else flat top one, or else natural one. Natural one, how that particular curve goes in that particular fashion. Flat top, at the highest frequency, it will be cut it out. Or else ideal means one particular spike will be coming into picture. So whichever is comfortable for you, you can just use it. So this is for conversion. Once it is converted, you'll be just transmitting this particular thing to a TDM. So this TDM, what it will be giving is, it will be giving you the T line, T1 line for your particular combination of 24 voice channels into, which is carrying 64 bits per second plus 8 kilobits per second for overhead. What is this overhead is now? What is this overhead? We had guard band with respect to your frequency division multiplexing. Why guard band is necessary? Because it may be overlapping. Because just to avoid this overlapping, we need the guard band. Similar to your guard band. So here, just not to overlap with respect to the signals, we require overhead signals. That's all. Next one, insufficient use of bandwidth. We were discussing something about the empty slots that we have left it with respect to our TDM, right? So that is very important. So which will be not taken care properly by your synchronous time division multiplexing. We have one more particular characteristic or division, time division multiplexing technique that is called as statistical time division multiplexing technique. We'll just check it out how it works. So we are talking about this particular empty channels. So we have 4 channels, A, B, C, D. A channel is transmitting 3 particular bits. B channel is not at all interested in transmitting any of the particular bits. C channel is transmitting only 2 bits, leaving 1 bit as empty. Whereas D channel is completely participating in that particular thing. Okay, so imagine a simple thing. We have one particular event going on in our particular college. So in that event, 4 participants are available. 4 participants. So participant A, if we are just talking about the participant A, I'll just annotate. So this is participant A, some name. This is participant B. And here participant C comes, participant D. So 4 participants are available to enroll in the event. The event is a tech zone event. Tech zone event, if you all know about the tech zone event, right? So you know how many different games or sub events will be occurring in that particular one single mega event called as tech zone, right? So tech zone is one particular big event. In that, paper presentation will be there, code debugging will be there, as well as robotic one particular hurdle, what they will be just doing it. So you will be coming to know all those particular stuffs, right? Or else project exhibition, or else some other particular, with respect to different branches, different events will be addressed. So now think about that. So these channels are participants. These are nothing but bits. Whatever you are having, it is nothing but the events that they are conducting. Different sub events that they are conducting. A is participating in all the particular events that they have conducted. B has enrolled but never participated in any of the event. C will be interested in participating only in 2 sub events, not all. Whereas D, in all the events, it will be participating. This is what the scenario that we are having it. So if we combine, and if we just want to get one particular winner from that, how to get that? So we'll combine all these particular events participation and just transmit it to the other particular end, that is the judges, right? So with respect to that, so we'll just try to combine the score that has been given by each one of the individual. If with respect to that particular score, who is getting the maximum one will award a particular win from it. This is what the event does. So with respect to this, okay, T1A is participating in one particular event. B is not participating in any one of the event. So this empty slot is required for B to take care. C is participating, we'll just take care. D is participating, we'll just take that particular thing to the other end. Similarly, with respect to frame 2, frame 3, it will be going on. So this empty slot, whether we need to wait for that particular person to come even after the event is closed, or before that particular event starts, sorry, after that event starts, not After that event starts, we even after the event starts, do we need to give that particular person a particular invitation? No, right? It's not needed. So we need to be very careful enough to address this particular empty slots. How to address it? What we'll do is, with respect to your statistical time division multiplexing, we'll just provide one particular ID for it. Okay, you are the participant, 4 participants are coming. So this participant will be participating in this event. So take one particular ID, registration ID. Similarly, second ID, second one, third one, fourth one. So whichever the person is having the ID, only for them I'll be fixing that particular thing as a frame, and that event will be transmitted to the other end. Similarly, it goes on. So this is nothing but your statistical time division multiplexing principle. Whereas synchronous time division multiplexing will wait, even if if that particular person is participating in an event, it will wait for a particular person. Even that person does not come, it will be waiting for it. Whereas in your statistical time division multiplexing, it is not so. It will be given one particular registration code. If the registration code is coming, then it will be just addressing to that. So whoever is having the code, it will be just combining that particular thing as one frame, and it will be transmitting. 3 persons is having the one frame, transmitted. 2 persons is having the one particular thing, transmitted. All the 5 participants will having the registration code, transmitted as on one particular frame. So it particularly depends on your particular participation ID. Similar to that, so each one of it will be addressed with respect to one more particular terminology. A1, A will be attached. B1, B will be attached. D1, D will be attached. Similarly, with respect to the second one, A2 is not there. B2 is the first particular thing. But similarly, C is not participating. We'll leave it. So D2, D will be attached. E2, E is attached. So that means E from the E line, it will be coming that particular bit. So that's how. So bit, but in each particular frame, the number of bits will be differing. So with respect to that particular participation, the participation ID, I'm just combining it. So that's how it will be working with respect to your statistical time division multiplexing. So this ends your time division multiplexing complete scenario. We'll just stop here. So in the next class, we'll just see one more particular topic in this bandwidth utilization topic, and we'll just wind up the entire. Any doubt with respect to this?